Okay, this is still in section 2.3. Had a little bit of a battery issue there, so I lost one there, but let me work through this one here that we're going to look at. Now, last time we looked at a sine graph, and it didn't have a fraction out here. But this one we're going to draw is a y equals 2 cos 1/2 times x minus a quarter pi radians in brackets plus 1. So we know the first thing we're going to have to do, and it's a good idea to use a pencil guideline, it's going to be a cos graph. So draw in pencil your guideline of a regular Cartesian plane there, and make some marks for yourself in regarding the amplitude and the shift, vertical shift. So we know that the vertical shift is it's going to go up 1, and we know that regular cos graph starts at 0, so and it'll be shifted up 1. So what we'll do is we'll put this pencil and say that's going to be our 1. And we know that our maximum amplitude is not going to be 1, it's going to be 2 because of this value right here. So instead of just having 1 for our amplitude, make our amplitude too high and make it our minimum too low here as well. So now we've already discovered the spot where our 0 line is, our actual 0 line. So take your ruler and put it in there and mark it in with your different color or whatever you're using for your final copy. And now put in your ticks. Okay, the 4 ticks for the positive period. As the book works, it only gets you to draw the positive period in their examples. They don't bother doing the negative period as well, but I like to add that in. It's not much harder to add that in, and it's a little more complete work in this area. So I like to see a negative and a positive period. Okay, we look at that. We've got that drawn, and we might as well draw it down here on our actual 0 line here, because that's how we're going to be discovering our intervals. So normally we would think to ourselves, well, it's still going to have the 90-degree interval type things unless it's been stretched or squished or something. So it looks like because of the half here, it's going to be changed, that interval, and also it's going to be shifted. So what we do is we use what we know about the cos graph. We know that the cos graph positive period goes from 0 to 2 pi. So we just draw that and we say, well, we know it's going to go from 0, if it was theta, all the way to 2 pi radians. That would be one positive period of the cos graph. So we want to find the positive period of the cos graph if it was this material in here. So what you do then is you take that and you plug that in where your theta value is. And we calculate what it would be. So here we have 0, and we plug it in 1/2 bracket x minus a quarter pi bracket, and then we put in our 2 pi here. So now we just do some algebra. Simply multiply by a half on both sides to get rid of the half. Okay, multiply by, well, actually multiply by a half. What am I saying? Divide by a half or multiply by 2 to get rid of it. So multiplying by 2, this is still 0. This becomes x minus a quarter pi. And we have to multiply by 2, so this becomes 4 pi out here. Keep on working, add a quarter pi to get rid of it with the x here. Add a quarter pi, this becomes a quarter pi. This becomes x. This becomes 4 pi plus a quarter pi. Well, 4 pi is actually 16 pi over 4, right? If we do it in quarter form, in fraction form. So this becomes 16 over 4 pi plus a quarter pi. That's 17 over 4 pi. Fraction skills always are well used in any maths. So now we know what these are, so we can put them in. This ends up being right here a quarter pi, where the final part of the period, where it ends the positive period, it ends up being 17 over 4 pi. So to get halfway in between, we have to add the 2 and divide by 2 to get this halfway mark. So 1/4 plus 17 quarters. And then divide by 2. So that would be 18 quarters. And dividing by 2 is like multiplying by a half. So that's 18 over 8 quarters, or 18 over 8. So that's 9 over 4. So this becomes 9 over 4 pi. Okay, we could still do the same here to get this next one. So 9 quarters plus 17 quarters divided by 2. Hopefully that's still in your field of view. Let me look. Move it up a little, and I'll just center it a little bit. Okay, so continuing on, that's 26 over 4 times a half, because we're doing that. Dividing by 2 is like times it by a half. And this becomes 13 over 4 right here. Okay, 1 and 9 is as you can see, we can kind of calculate now. What's the difference in here? 4, 4, subtract 4, that's 5. Subtract 4, that's 1. Subtract 4 would be negative 3/4 pi. Subtract 4 would be negative 7/4 pi. Subtract 4, negative 11/4 pi. Subtract 4, negative 15/4 pi. And now all we have to do is draw in on the pencil guidelines, our regular shape of the coast graph. Make sure that you use the maximum here. Remember, it's up there because it's 2. And there's the 0. There's the minimum. And draw that in on your pencil guidelines. Regular shape of the coast graph. And then just draw it in. And you can use your good pen now. Or pencil or different. Now where's the actual 0 line? Well, the actual 0 line is somewhere in here for the x equaling 0. So draw that in solidly and put a 0 in there. So that's what it would look like. Now if we were going to check that, let's see if we have enough time to check that. Oh yes we do, if I do it quick. So quickly zip your calculator up here, turn it on, and get to your window. Now I want to go from negative 15/4 pi, so put that in brackets, and negative 15 divided by 4, close the bracket, and then pi. And then I want to go up to 17/4 pi, so just do that in brackets, 17 divided by 4, close pi, close the bracket, pi. Keep the same interval there. The maximum and minimum for y, it's going to go up to 3 and down to negative 1. So there's a negative 1 and 3. Oh, we got it good. And then we just type in the y. Okay, and there it is, the graph. 2 cos 0.5 or half times x minus a quarter, which is 0.25 pi plus 1. Hit graph. And you can see that if you're looking at our axis and its axis, it is the same shape. So we've drawn it correctly. Okay, in our next tutorial, we'll look specifically at drawing the tangent graph. And the tangent graph, remember, is a little different because its period only goes, we don't have as many marks because its period is only a pi long, not 2 pi long.